Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dark and Dicey, episode 18.
Hey.
I know we're having, a couple of frame rate issues right now, so hopefully that'll get cleared up as we continue the session. But yes, welcome back. As you can see, we've got half our usual cast missing, so we've got some time for some guests. Say hello to Amanda and Marcy again, you guys. Tala and Korth are back.
Hello.
Hello.
It's going to be a good time. So really quick, last time you guys had your sort of beta test of your dungeons because a group of Allhaven soldiers walked by and they're like, what's this? Might as well explore. And they won. You know, it's fine. They won. You have to give them some gold, but it's out there. And afterwards, your dungeon, since it's been a day, most of it has been outfitted. Horatio has written out pamphlets and spread them across town, telling people of a new dungeon on the Blacksteel Isles. Marcy.
I'm just wanting to watch.
Your phone.
I wanted to watch the stream, guys. It just
Professionalism. So the news is out there that there's a new dungeon on the island, and it's possibly simple with lots of gold, just some zombies. What's the harm? But now, instead of just a random group of soldiers from Allhaven, you have your first, in fact, professional adventuring party at your door. So this is going to be a good time. Really quickly, before we start any of this, I want to thank some folks really quick because a bunch of you submitted your characters to us to feed through our meat grinder dungeon. So thanks. Really quickly, we have Hogwarts Boy 111. Thank you for Marcelo. We have Nuke Drak for Nerixus Torrent Stormbringer. So thank you for that. Haruka Senin, who submitted Arachnia, thank you. Kojiro Uchiha 91 for Lander Nilo, so thank you for him. And from our very own Discord, Durag Durandal, and thank you for submitting Kane Carden. And last but not least, Crystal Fear, and thank you for submitting Maiv Seppa. So those are going to be our heroes running through the dungeon today. And just a reminder, these are not their exact characters because, unless I'm going to memorize the backstories and abilities and, characteristics of 6 player characters for each dungeon we run, that will take up more time than we have, unfortunately. So these will be my takes on your characters. Hope that's okay. Everyone dies.
Uh-oh.
Everyone's a clown. Everyone's a mime. All right, so where we last left off the previous session, you guys had just awoken from a long rest. That includes both Korth and Tal. You guys were around when the dungeon was being put up, so shenanigans happened. And,
when it was erected?
When it was erected, you could say. Ye old erection. And so the way this is going to work is this. Your dungeon currently, because it's now been outfitted, counts as a +1 dungeon, correct? So each person who will act as the boss of whichever level you want to be the boss of rolls the preparation dice for the dungeon itself, which is your intelligence modifier, your wisdom modifier, plus your d20 roll, plus your dungeon modifier, so the +1, right? The party will get its own separate roll, which basically consists of the d20 and their party level. This party happens to be +1. So they will get +1 to the roll. And depending on what people roll, different things occur. If they keep rolling well, they keep going down the dungeon, they don't lose party members and possibly even beat dungeons.
Oof.
If you roll well, they will very quickly start losing party members at each floor. Each loss usually will take out 1 party member per floor, unless you roll a 20, in which case worse happens. And the same for them. If they roll a 20, more than likely they are passing that floor. All right, so you guys all gather around Dwight's large scrying mirror, and you can see very vividly the big skull outside. Big green orbs of flame light up inside its sockets, and from there you can see down through the scrying mirror this group of 6, and I know I described them last session, but that was before I knew that we were going to be doing this experiment. So we're gonna have some different party members make up this new band. All right. As you peer through the window, you see first and foremost a tall-looking high elf. A high elf with long dark hair, pale skin, and of course high pointed ears. She's wearing earthen and green tones, a wood staff. You can sort of oh, I'm sorry, not a wood staff. Two daggers at her sides, but from her poise and from her aura about her, you can tell that she's probably a druid. That was Arachnia. And just to her left, you see a male tiefling. This tiefling has a sword at his side, a long sword, and otherwise is dressed in a very airy, kind of loose-fitting outfit. And if you had to guess, probably warlock. And next to him, a young half-elf. A half-elf with a longbow readied in his hands as he's scouting the area, more than likely the party's ranger. That was, of course, Lander. And in the back, let's see here, another tiefling, this time female. This one has a lute prepared at her side, so dead giveaway that she is a bard. That's naive. And at the front of the party, you see a turtle. Turtle not unlike Filbert. This one has a mighty great axe readied and prepared to go. Very, far more muscular and powerfully built than Filbert, but still a turtle. Name is Marcelo. You don't know the names, obviously, but I'm just letting you know these are who the characters are.
How impressive is this axe?
Not as impressive as yours.
Okay, continue.
I like that. That's the first thing your character's like, wait. Zoom in on the axe.
Close up. All right.
Okay, never mind. And there is one last party member. The telltale signs of blue dragon scale cover his figure. This is a dragon-born cleric, and you can tell heavily plated, a crossbow in one side, a warhammer at the other, and this is Norixius, Torin the Stormbringer. So this party of 6 has appeared.
The edgelords, Jesus.
Right.
at your dungeon's entrance.
And all their parents are dead.
Kovacs just like, I like this lot.
You can even overhear a little bit as they speak amongst themselves at the entrance to your dungeon. The high elf, who is standing out front, appears to be the leader of this group, as she is sort of like giving commands to her party members. They're mumbling to themselves, and you can sort of overhear as they look over the pamphlet in their hands. It's like, all right, so it appears this dungeon is filled with a small number of zombies, but it seems the gold reward is well worth the effort. Let's say we give it a try. And the party members nod in agreement. And so you see them form ranks. This is not your average just ragtag adventuring party. These are experienced dungeon delvers. You can just tell from both their formation, both their forms, and their readiness to confront your dungeon. So this will be a little more difficult than the last ragtag band of random guards that you lost to. I don't want to rub that in, but it was sad. So the first floor of this dungeon is the garden. Your garden, in fact. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to be the dungeon boss. Just letting you know that it was the level based on your idea. So, first level, garden. Who wants to be the dungeon boss of this level?
I mean, so I roll for it, and if I...
Yeah, you'll be the one rolling your intelligence modifier, wisdom modifier, plus your d20 roll, plus 1. I know, it's a lot, but... so if you want to be the dungeon boss, roll your d20.
Oh, it was a 19 and then it was a 3.
Oh, plus your...
It was like on the edge. And...
Plus your intelligence modifier, wisdom modifier, and 1.
Okay. So my intelligence modifier is 1, wisdom 0. So just +2.
Cool. So that's what?
5.
5. Perfect.
Good first
All right.
level.
Am I gonna fail at my
Yeah,
own
it's level 1.
level?
Yeah.
That's true. That's
There will be 2 rolls for you per level. One for the random floor itself, and the other for the boss. Right. So what you rolled for is the assorted zombies they'll encounter on this.
okay, that's good. Like,
right?
give them like a false sense of security. Like,
Yeah,
oh
that's
yeah, this
it.
is so easy.
That's it.
They'll
False
get their
sense of
guard down, and then
security.
you guys will take care of it.
All right. So
got
now
it.
that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
rolled the encounter dice, give me the boss roll.
Okay. Oh, 6. Plus the
You
same.
still get the other stuff too.
Ooh, my extra 2 points. 8.
All right. We're starting off great, guys.
Calm down now.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and roll those 2 rolls for them. That's a 19. And that's a 12. But it's still, unfortunately, higher than yours.
Show offs.
Okay, so the adventuring party, led by Arachnia, steps onto the kind of grisly, bony, viscera-laden elevator, and the elevator sinks a bit as their weight presses down on it. And they hear the grotesque sound of sinew and viscera just kind of crunching against each other as this awful bone elevator lowers them down into the depths of the dungeon, but not too far. Immediately, after just a few seconds, it stops. And with a ding, the doors, I don't know where it comes from, it just happens. The doors open like yay. And they come across an interesting sight, one that they did not expect. It's actually kind of nice. This first floor. There's lush greenery everywhere. They can still see some sunlight coming in from the ceiling. Flowers and berries, and even a couple of birds flying about. It's nice. You could take a nap here. Of course, there are shambling zombies everywhere, but that's neither here nor there.
They're gardening. They're just like, hey, what's up?
Absolutely. They're just kind of shambling about. These zombies, not the smartest. They weren't expecting adventurers today, nor will they ever really expect adventurers. They're zombies. So the party has all the time in the world to kind of stick by the elevator and come up with a plan. Tala is nowhere in sight at the moment. The ranger of the group, Lander Nilo, decides that the best possible course of action is to funnel the undead through 2 of the large potted structures that hold some of the plants. So they take a formation. They have Marcello. They're not. He's not armored because he's a barbarian, but he has that turtle shell, so he's all right. So let's see here. The turtle. Oh yeah, sure. We'll leave him to that. The turtle barbarian sets up his stance in between the potted plants. He has his axe out, and as the zombies notice him, they start shambling towards him. But Lander begins the fight by letting off several volleys of arrows from the back. Maeve pulls out this large staff, this large blue crystalline staff, and a shard of ice flings out magically from the tip and rips through the cadre of zombies as they begin to funnel into Marcello's. They're trying to get at the party, but they can't get past Marcello's shell. Instead of fighting offensively, the turtle retreats into the shell itself, and the zombies' frail attacks just bounce off the hardened exterior. And this goes on and on until finally the zombies on the level just start to whittle down to nothing. Kane from the back, blasting them every which way with Eldritch Blast. This is a very coordinated party. And you're seeing all this from, except for you, who's actually on the level. We'll get to you in a second. But you guys are seeing all this in Dwight's scrying mirror. So Dwight's sitting going like, I don't know, they're pretty good, these guys. What do you think? Betting odds? Betting odds?
I think she's giving them a false sense of security.
Oh, Tala.
Yeah.
All right. What?
So this party came in right at the end of last session, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Pluck's still like just
you're still
floating.
in the thing?
Yeah, just kind of floating, contemplating.
Okay, so he doesn't turn to you. He
Nope.
just turns to Kovacs. He's like, so you think they're gonna make it to the end?
Oh, absolutely not.
All right. So the as you're having this conversation, let's see. Norixius, the Dragonborn cleric, hasn't even had to heal any of his party members yet. This is going pretty well for them so far. Finally, the last zombie drops, and the party recollects itself and continues on through the garden. And as they get to the part where you would expect, because they're getting close to the back entrance now. The Arachnia stops the party just as the exit elevator comes into view, and she just gives a very silent, right, soundless, just motion with her hand, and in their view, they can see just out of the corner of their eye towards the back the silhouette of a huge undead minotaur abomination. Fortunately for them, Tala seems to be having a great time enjoying the sun and plants. She is literally sunbathing in the corner, like butterflies on her face.
Like beautiful, like the beauty
Super
filter.
zen, yeah, just like
Flower crown.
you can. You see Dwight just go. The party seems to have like a little wordless meeting really quickly, and it's obvious that they decide to just bypass the large evil zombie. So they roll well on their sneaks, and they just sort of sneak by right behind you as you're just like enjoying the hell out of these rays of the sun, and oh, this bird is so beautiful.
I twitch real quick though, and then they're like, "Oh, this is it," and then it's
Right.
like me like adjusting to get like more sun on a different part of me or something.
Right, exactly. You see Lander, like as soon as you twitch, Lander's like, and they just continue on. And before you know it, they make it to the exit elevator and they just start going down. Just bypassing you completely.
Dwight, that had to be intentional, right? I mean, there's no way. She's just toying with them.
Yes, toying. Perfect. Who wants to be dungeon boss of the next level?
What's the next floor?
The next floor is the Maze of Mirrors. That it's very dark, it's very misty, and filled with mirrors. Appropriately named.
I'll take it.
We'll hold off.
All right, Korth. You're just like, oh,
Yes, me.
and Dwight's like, okay,
Can I eat them?
Oh, yes, it's fine.
Yes.
Don't take a nap or something when you're up there. Just
Dinner.
go.
Yes. Yes.
You take the employee shortcut.
Very good.
Yeah. It's kind of like Universal Studios when you work there for like Halloween Horror Nights. Like all the employees have these super secret shortcuts through the mazes.
There's like a key card that they use to get like the elevator access.
Yeah, that's what's happening here. All right, Korth. Now go ahead and roll for the encounter, and then roll for the boss battle.
All right. And I had wisdom and intelligence, right?
Wisdom modifier and intelligence modifier, and then +1 because your dungeon's a +1.
That'll be
Oh, I'm sorry, your dungeon's a +2.
15 then.
+2.
15
15? For the encounter one?
for the encounter.
Got it, thank you.
Come on, boss fight. Good. Come on.
Okay, well, you know.
All right.
18.
18.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Tala, after this, if you wish, you can now choose you just can't choose the immediate next level, but if you want, You can be the.
I want the one with the comfy chairs.
It's all the way at the end, man.
Yeah. They thought it was the easiest one, but I'm actually the hardest.
That's
boss.
right. That's right. All right.
It's a good twist.
Yeah.
Easy boss comes back at
Guys, party rolls.
Oh shit! It was the last boss the whole time.
Don't tell us what you roll this time. Let's just let you play it out.
Okay. And then for the boss. Snack, come.
You killed Snake.
That's probably great.
Yeah, that look on his face was good. Yes. Well, guys, it was great playing with you.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. All right, here we go. As the party lowers deeper into the dungeon, the familiar stopping of the elevator gives way to the second floor. Inside this floor, they encounter a great sea of darkness with only bits and tiny pieces of random light being reflected off of what appears to be shiny, reflective surfaces. Upon closer inspection, as they inch out of the elevator, they find the entire floor filled with these wall-length mirrors. Mirrors of every shape and form. Some that sort of makes them look weird, some that are very honest to their appearance, but all of them mixed in a way that it becomes very hard to find your way towards the end. And it doesn't help that this place is pitch dark with a bunch of mist, right? So, as they slowly make their way forward into the maze of mirrors, they are so concentrated on finding their way that they can't hear the footsteps in the mist. And soon, behind them, they hear this gargled cry, and they all turn around. Unfortunately, not soon enough to save... Sorry, guys.
It's about to get real.
To save Neurixius, their cleric, from being grabbed from the darkness by a legion of decaying undead hands. His great cry of terror, and as he's being dragged into the dark, since he is a dragonborn, his mouth opens and a massive spray of lightning shoots in an arc through the floor, shattering a great number of mirrors, but not quite enough. The party tries to jump to his defense, but it's too late, and he is dragged into the darkness, kicking and screaming, the crunching of bones following soon afterwards.
Healer down. Healer's down.
Healer is down, officially.
Good start.
Oof. This, unfortunately, sends a couple of the group into a slight panic. Kane Carden breaks a bit from the party and starts to use his Eldritch Blast to just shoot down the mirrors in his path. You hear him say, "Enough of this nonsense," and he starts clearing the floor of mirrors. Unfortunately, some of the glass shatters and cuts the party members as it falls on them, doing a bit of damage. But even though it does clear the way a bit, they are harmed, except for Marcelo, who recedes back into a shell. He's still okay. So as they're clearing their way through this mysterious kind of darkened corridor with possibly undead all around them, they finally get through what they think is the last set of mirrors. And just ahead, in the darkness, they can make out a small kind of two small pillars of flame that signify the eye sockets of the skull that rests above every one of the elevators. So of course they believe that they're almost to the exit. Unfortunately, there was one last creature in the level, and that was Korth. As the party kind of still in shock from losing one of their party members, they sort of let their guard down just so. And right in that moment, a huge blast of eldritch power rings. Yeah! That's sound happens, and it blasts Kane Carden away from the party. Not dead, but very injured. The party races to its defense, but before they can get there, you hear Kane heroically cry out from the dark, "Leave me! Get to the bottom! Escape! I'll hold it off!" It's a very dramatic moment where these party members all sort of look at each other and, Mahi goes, "No." Before she's dragged away by Arachnia to the elevator, and before she leaves, she looks back out into the darkness. "We'll come back for you."
No, you won't.
As the elevator doors close, you and Kane are left in this dark, misty room. Kane spits to the floor a little thing of blood, and all you see is this dinner in front of you. You open your mouth, this dark eldritch power pools in your mouth, and him being a warlock as well, he has one arm shattered and useless from the first blast, but he takes what power he can muster in his free hand, and he blasts it right at your face, right the same moment you open your mouth, and these lasers just collide in the middle of the floor. It's a struggle of willpower now as your Godzilla breath and his eldritch blast collides, and these beams coincide and wrestle, and they grow larger and larger in strength. Unfortunately, he only has the use of one arm, and you are able to push him back right against the wall. Your eldritch blast, just a little bit more powerful than his, just collides into his body after precious seconds of this intense laser battle, and just splatters him against the wall. But fried bones in its wake. You have unfortunately melted the flesh off the body again.
Go on.
Dude, I love the Cell Saga.
Keep doing that.
I just wanted a dinner.
You can eat the marrow from his bones, but unfortunately,
I pluck one off the wall and I crack it and I just eat it, sitting down very disappointed.
super grumpy. You're like,
I look up at since I know you guys are watching, and just be like,
I can't catch a fucking break.
she's been around for so long. She just keeps doing that. I don't know if it's just like a tick she has, but she's really got to cut that out.
Like a nice marrow soup.
The fact that it's also like that, like this guy's melted, that guy got his bones crunched after like the sunbathing minotaur level. It's like, we did not see this coming.
Right. All right. So the next level. The next level is where Sir Pickleton and Jiju the giant spider currently reside. Any takers for the beast level? And if there are none, that's okay too. It's just one roll for them. It makes it a little easier on them.
Is that the forest level, or are
No, the forest level is after.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So this is the,
right. They were on a different level. Okay.
Yes, this is the Den of Beasts.
Just give them that one, you know.
All right. So in that case, I will roll for both. So in cases like this, since there's no boss, there's no intelligence or wisdom modifier. It's just the +2 dungeon versus the +1 party. So it's a little easier for the party. Okay. Yeah. As you continue watching through the scrying mirror, unfortunately for you, there's no scrying mirror on your level, so you can't really. No. You can hear stuff happening.
Just right? Thuds and like yelling.
Thuds, lasers, yelling, screams.
I hate this job.
At this point, Tala, you've awoken from your nap, and you've you stretch out. You're like, oh, that was really nice.
Very refreshed.
Yeah, you make it back to the Bone Cathedral. You're like, guys, what's up? What? There are adventurers here? you just sort of.
When are we expecting them? I must prepare.
Dwight just looks at you like.
have I come up from my level yet?
Yeah, you can saunter in.
Do you sound like blood all over?
just bone bits and marrow.
They already got past me. I killed one, but I disintegrated him. I wasn't able to eat him at all.
My condolences.
Very, very unsatisfying.
Dwight's like, wait, guys, they're starting the monster level, the one with your dire pig and stuff. Let's see what happens.
You have a dire pig.
Yes.
For
now.
The elevator opens one more time. The party now haggard and disheveled, and now in fact, you as the door opens, you see that they've been trying to like press anything they can. It's like you hear them mutter, "Go back up, go back up, go back up, go back up." The elevator does not. That is not how the elevator works, unfortunately. And let's see, let me open up their sheets again real quick. I need another, I need to bring a pad with me, all right. Arachnius, and she is the leader of the party. She takes a gingerly step out, and she notices that there are spider webs everywhere on this level, filled to the brim. You can't even see 10 feet in front of you without running into one of these sticky, just really kind of foreboding webs. And you can hear, you can sort of see the party like really trying to hear, what's waiting for them on this floor. And even you can hear a bit of skittering throughout the level. You know exactly what that is. They do not. And as the party slowly starts, and they're very careful now. The ranger, slowly takes his bow and just starts inching aside, foot by foot, these spider webs. While Maeve readies her staff, it glows with this blue frost magic, and she's ready to point it at whatever comes out of the darkness. Marcello takes point now, seeing that his shell has served them well so far, and Arachnia from the back now, just trying to guide her party. Let's see, Lander, of course, is the one paving the way with his bow. You notice as they go along, a shadow looms behind them, a skittering 8-legged shadow. Unfortunately for Jiju, the druid Arachnia does notice immediately, and she turns around and she calls out some orders to her party. You can't really make out the exact specific words and all the chaos, but they turn around. Lander lets loose a volley of arrows toward the skittering noise, and you see Jiju able to kind of skitter out of the way just in time before being nailed with these shafts of metal and wood. And from as they've turned to deal with the large giant spider, Sir Piggleton begins to sneak up behind their other side. This is a pincer attack by these two giant beasts.
Okay.
They've worked out some teamwork.
Oh my gosh.
It's horrifying.
This is Sir Pickleton, unfortunately, because this is his first sort of like dungeon fight, so he's not very good at being stealthy. Instead, he just sort of screams and starts. The dungeon. No,
My dungeon.
Earthquake.
my dungeon. He just sort of charges at the party. That gives the party enough time to get out of the way. Marcello retreats back into a shell. Sir Piggleton basically punts with his nose the shell all the way across the floor. It hits Jiju in the head, knocks it off its web, and spins in the corner before turning back into the turtle. A little dizzy, but otherwise unharmed. Marcello runs and rejoins his party. Lander covers their retreat with volleys and volleys of arrows. Maeve shoots another blast of ice magic out at Jiju, and they're able, by working together, keep the two massive beasts at bay while they escape through the webbing. Before they get to the escape elevator, they notice that the webbing is particularly thick. They would have to either carve or magic their way through this thing. Thinking quickly, Arachnia, who is a druid, manages to wild shape herself into another giant spider. With her new insecty hands, she's able to very quickly deconstruct the web behind him while her party members hold Sir Pickleton and Jiju at bay. And in no time flat, Arachnia gets the party through the web into the elevator, and they lose no party members on this level.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
They succeed.
Spider.
They succeed down and go down through one more level. You see Jiju sort of look up at the thing going like... now, Pluck, as you're enjoying your floaty...
Enjoying is
as you're tolerating your time here, you hear very clearly the sounds of combat right upstairs from you, and without delay, the elevator bing, opens back up, and you see this haggard, just weary, pretty traumatized adventuring party stumble out. Arachnia the druid, Lander the half-elf ranger, Maeve the tiefling bard, and Marcello the the turtle barbarian. They stumble out, they fall to their knees, they try to catch their breath. They're taking in their surroundings. Once again, a very lovely level. They don't immediately see you, so you can decide what you want to do before they even realize you're there.
Pluck's just gonna continue to like dead man float. Not really gonna like move or anything. Just he hears it. He's just like, just don't make eye contact.
Oh dear.
In that case, you hear them mutter amongst themselves. It's like, do you think Kane is dead? No, he said he was going to be all right. We're going to go back and get him, I promise. Who makes an elevator that doesn't go up? What sort of evil fiends are these? They start to make their way through the level, and it's of course it's lovely. There's even like a stray deer, hops by, and a bunny rabbit hops by. Pluck, even though you're not technically bossing this level, you will still, since you're there, you will still need to roll the dungeon encounter and the boss.
Okay, so first one is D20 plus intelligence, wisdom 2.
Intelligence, wisdom, and then +2.
Okay. Okay. So 17, 23.
Okay. I thought this was supposed to be the easy level.
They all just instantly melt.
And there was
one more.
Okay, same modifiers.
Yes, please.
Not so much. 14.
Okay. All right. So here's what happens. Let's see what happens.
Also, there is a crowman body just floating in blood. Just in case they weren't aware.
Okay. Great. So, you hear their footsteps getting closer and closer. They're getting close to your pond. Lander is the first to the half-elf ranger is the first to discover you. You hear the sound of a bowstring being tautened, tautened.
Just the creak.
Yeah, creak. And you look up and you notice these brown locks against pale skin, breathing heavily. And he's like, "And what are you?"
He goes, welcome. Please don't touch anything. Don't kill anything. Otherwise, it's going to be a gross time.
Arachnia, their leader, steps forward to ask you another question. She starts with, what kind of monster built this? And, sadly for her, because you've requested that the other bodies of water be covered up with tar mats resembling grass, she steps through one.
Looks like, oh, sorry, we meant to take those out.
Splash! Flailing, she is thrown into the bubbling waterfall. Right.
Oh, don't inhale.
You see her rise up screaming, the corrupted blood flowing out of her orifices. Her party scramble to pull her.
It's like, no, don't go after her.
Scrambling to pull her from the corrupted blooded waterfall. She's shrieking now. You see that her eyes, having touched the blood, are bleeding themselves out the side of her face.
Yeah, that happens.
So you're just saying, it's like, ooh, no, that's hard.
I'm so sorry. Oh no. Oh, that's gonna.
Oh, with the blood in the
Should have put one of those piso mojado things. That's what I'm saying.
Just like put it on ice. You might be okay.
I don't know how to say it either.
The party finally managed to drag their party leader from the corrupted blood pond. It's obviously taken a toll on her. She can't seem to stand under her own power. Blood continues to pour from random orifices on her face. And since they, obviously this is a pretty terrible thing to happen to anyone. So instead of resting on this floor, the party gathers her up. They sort of like form what wall they can around her. Lander still has his bow trained on you just in case. And it's like, what's happening to her? Bird person, tell me what happened to her?
It's like she jumped in this ever-flowing water full of blood. Did you think it was going to be like a nice little swim?
You see him go like, I guess not. But
I don't know. I feel like you're really the bad guys here.
with that, unfortunately, they rolled high enough to bypass the excremental, so they they don't accidentally hurt any innocent animals, but instead.
Nice.
Yeah, but they drag their ailing party member through to the other side, to the elevator, and the doors close behind them, and you're sort of left with this trail of corrupted blood through the grass, and just memories of the shrieking.
As they're like walking away and like leaving a trail of blood, I'm like, oh great, yeah, it's gonna be real fun to clean up. Thank you.
I appreciate. They're gone. All right. So, Dwight turns to you, Kovacs. Like, well, you're up. Interested?
Looks like it. So I grab my old sword and shield.
You have your old weapons still on you? Oh, yeah. That's right. You didn't sell them. Right?
Nope.
Okay, yeah. So you grab those together and you head out towards the employees' shortcut.
Which leads to my my room at the end of the gates.
I imagined you would want some sort of like, because you didn't tell me exactly what was going to be in that room. So far we
That's
have
the boss room.
Yeah, so far we have a throne for you to sit on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get your Conan, like whatever on. And there's ample place for the encounter. So, as the boss of this level, will you please roll the encounter and boss rolls?
$14
for the encounters.
Wow. 27.
What the?
Nice.
All right.
I'm adding 12 to these rolls.
Jeez. I thought
Is that your
start me with your first roll.
It's my wisdom,
Oh, you're super wise.
apparently.
Dang, you got lucky on what you had to pick for this.
Right?
Well done.
It's all pretty ridiculous, if we're being
Oh, wow. What have you done?
What have you done? What have you done?
That's awesome.
When I rolled this guy, it was just like,
Yeah, I'm real lucky on that. Well done.
All right.
it's fucked.
Party, the ailing party. Arachnia has more or less been taken out of the equation. She can barely hold herself up. Let's see. Marcello has taken it upon his turtle self to lead the party of him, Maeve, Lander, and the ailing Arachnia. So stepping out onto this dark charcoal-colored platform outside of this the elevator, they notice a linear hallway straight ahead. Very linear. Surprisingly linear.
So linear.
Yeah, so linear. However, the path forward is broken up like you would not believe. Platforms randomly attached to the wall come out a bit above them, a bit below them. There are tracks that are activated by clockwork that move them forward automatically if they step on them. Ones that move them back. Swings. There's plenty here to test their athleticism. And as they peer over the side, more of the corrupted blood lay in some of the pits in front of them. Some have just straight up death spikes. Others, a fireball shoots up and down in an eternal cycle of F-U. Right? So, as you watch them proceed through the level, you're waiting at the end. You notice them kind of like take a deep breath. They notice there are no creatures on this level, so they take time to plan. Right? You notice Maeve break out her lute, and she gives her party a little morale boost because a couple of their friends are dead, and who knows, their leader might be dying. Who knows what this blood does, right? So she sings a little tune, and it seems to bolster their spirits a little bit. The ranger Lando takes Arachnia's kind of still body and more or less wraps her around him, and being a very athletic ranger, begins to parkour across these obstacles like you would not believe. This ranger has obviously spent a lot of time training his body, and he's able to leap from platform to platform, swing as if there's no problem. Even, in fact, he can even help he even begins to help Marcello, who has smaller arms, swing across platforms he would otherwise not make it across. He grabs his turtle friend and comes right across, and dodges the fireball, manages to jump across the spikes. There's these blades that come out towards the end. He's able to time his distance and go through each one. There's even a large, spiked, a rectangular object that falls down in front of him and lifts back up, and he scurries through.
A thwomp.
Maeve, however, so 3 have made it across. Maeve has a better idea. Tapping her staff on the ground, a thick wall of ice shoots out straight from it, across the platforms, freezing over the fire, freezing over the spikes, freezing the blades in place. I know, it's cheating.
Using those special weapons strategically.
That's right. Freezes the entire level in its tracks, and she makes her way across without much problem. Now,
It's just good game design, really.
now the real problem is the 27 you rolled at the end for the boss encounter. So here's what happens. They get to the end, they open, instead of an elevator, what's waiting for them is a small gate, right? This is new. They open the gate carefully, and another linear hallway opens up in front of them. Nothing in it. They just sort of have to get through this extra hallway Walk. Nothing happens.
Suspense.
They're obviously very anxious and super stressed. As you don't hear this yet, but if either of you are in the little viewing room, you can see that Arachnia is not doing well on Lander's shoulder. She starts to groan, and her eyes have not stopped bleeding, and this is a bad time for her. As they get to the end of the hallway, there's yet again the exact same gate from previous. They just sort of walked through an empty hallway, got to a gate. Marcello kind of takes his axe and opens the door just so. And what do they see past the gate?
Just like an empty stone room, square room, probably a good 30 by 30 square feet. And I'm just chilling in my sweet throne. Well, I guess I don't know if it can be a stone room. It's probably a bone room.
It's a stone-covered
I'm
bone.
sitting on my throne of bone.
Stone throne.
Just trying to look intense.
That's right. And you do.
Cool.
It's
Good.
very
Perfect.
intimidating.
Good.
Can he roll like an intensity check? You know how well he sells it, or if they're like, what a douche.
Sure,
I mean-
roll intimidation. Just have at it.
I also wouldn't mind flipping on my dreadful aspect switch, but you know.
We'll
get there.
You will.
Intimidation, 14.
14? Okay. It's not too difficult to intimidate this party at this point. They have gone through some shit. Right? So Marcello recoils slightly in the door, but looks behind him, realizes there's no way going back up. So they slowly tiptoe into the room, facing you. And so the turtle stands his ground as his party gathers behind him, and he's like, "Who are you?"
Me? I'm just a simple paladin.
Well, if you are a paladin, then please move aside. We have injured. We need to escape this hellish place.
It seems you know very little about this world. And I pull out my sword and shield. And I look at the half-elf, and I'm like, it's interesting where the paths that our kind follows. Look at the different places we can end up.
He has his bow pointed to you, and it's like, better fighting for freedom than become a monster like you.
Well, you've signed your own death warrant, so let's do this.
All right. So, since you rolled so bloody high, this is going to be somewhat of a... All right, anyway, here's what happens. They very carefully set Arachnia, their leader, down against the wall. And she just sort of, her head lolls to one side. She stops moving completely at this point. She limply and vacantly stares off with these red, bleeding eyes. So it's up to Lander, Maeve, and Marcello, these three. They start off well enough. They still have fairly good party tactics. Marcello is up front, ready to deflect blows with his shell. Maeve and Lander in the back. Lander peppers you with arrows upon arrows. Not has this never-ending amount. Unfortunately for you, you have a shield, so you easily deflect these not unpracticed, but less practiced than you're used to shots. They're very straightforward, and they come at you head on. Your shield is able to take care of all of that. But what does slow you down a bit is this frost staff that Maeve carries. It's been a pain in this dungeon side since the beginning. These shots of ice magic fling out at you, some catching you in the arm, catching you in the leg. It doesn't hurt you that much, but it's very annoying, and it does slow you down. But unfortunately, it can't keep you at bay forever. So, and your powerful Oathbreaker body just comes and takes your weapon and brings it down on Marcello the Barbarian. Though he does shrink deep into a shell, the blade bites into the shell itself and causes a massive scar that just carves down one side of his shell. In fact, it bites down into flesh, and you hear this turtle shout out in pain, echoing from inside his shell. Right? And you hear his party members cry out his name, Marcello! More arrows and more frost magic come at you, but now you have leverage. You raise your sword, which raises Marcello himself, and you begin blocking their arrows and magic with their own friend.
Cool.
You advance on them boldly. These adventures are unfortunately not at your skill level. You weave a stray arrow, you dodge a stray blast of magic, and right in front of their eyes, right as you get to them, you slam your sword down, carving the rest of the way through Marcello, cleaving him in two.
Bad man.
The party members, sort of at the sight of one of their last friends being cleft in twain, Maeve just breaks ranks and runs for the elevator in the back. Though you're not able to stop her, because Lander engages you in melee combat, trying desperately to save his friend. After you trade some blows with him, it's fairly easy to parry. He's not as good with his melee weapons as he is with his bow. Unfortunately for Lander, though you guys more or less stalemate for a bit, he does not notice the movement happening behind him, but you do, and you choose not to say a word. Arachnia raises from her torpid state in the corner of the room. She's not like one of the zombies you've seen so far, right? The blood has more or less cleared up from her eyes. She haggardly stumbles over to her friend. There's a glint in your eye and a smile that gives it away as you sort of back off, and Lander is left confused before he turns around and he sees his friend's face. And just before he can even utter her name, she leans back, fangs grow from her mouth, and she sinks them into Lander's neck. And drains him of blood.
Well,
You've created your first vampire.
Cool.
In Dungeons.
congratulations.
Nice.
Good job, guys.
And that is unfortunately the end of Lander, as Arachnia drags him down to the ground and feasts on his body.
Cool.
Nice.
Baby's first vampire.
First vampire.
That was all you, man.
Oops, all minions.
So there is only one party member left.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is that thing that happens when I attack and kill something, is that going to happen to
Oh, yes.
Mars? No.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Cool.
Yeah. And in fact, just as she's feeding on Lander, the desiccated kind of like half-shelled corpse shambles back up to its feet, and you instinctively know you have a new undead minion under your command. This one's sort of like... This necromancy can only bring back what it started as, so unfortunately you have this kind of half-turtle wandering about. It has a great axe. It can fight. It's just kind of...
Can't see.
All right.
Yeah.
He's a half turtle. That's a race.
Yeah. All right. So, the next level is the Underdark level. Can I interest any of you guys? You can't because you just went. Any of you guys want to be boss of this level?
You want to go in order?
Myself.
All right. Okay. So go ahead and roll the encounter and the boss.
So encounter, I rolled an 18. And so it's intelligence and wisdom. So +1.
Intelligence, wisdom, and then +2.
So +3 total because I only have one modifier.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So 21.
So 21 total. Okay. And what's the boss roll?
Well, it's not the sides. It's how you use it. So 3. Well, plus 3, so 6.
6.
That's average. Fine.
Is the gun the encounter?
This is the gunning encounter. So let's see what happens.
Keiji's reactions are always so interesting.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes he'll do the wrong one just to screw with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got poker face.
Oh, yes. Basically, you never trust Kaiji.
Before this last thing happens, do you guys want to take a quick break to do what y'all need to do?
Do we need to change settings, or are we good?
It's still stuttering. We can drop it a bit more if you want to take a communal break real quick.
Okay, yeah. Let's take a minute.
We'll be right back.
Be back in a minute.
Yeah. All right, welcome back. We just had to fix a quick technical thing, but it has been fixed, so let us continue. Just rolled for the party's rolls, and Tala, you arrive on this fairly dark, dank kind of there's like drips of water. It's like you see like crickets jumping here and there. It's very quiet, very calm, right? Kind of musty smelling, very Underdark-ish. There doesn't seem to be any creatures or minions on this floor, except to your left, to your immediate left, a machine that appears to just sort of be 7 rifles kind of wrapped together, right? And a sort of a clockwork mechanism to turn a crank. You have no idea what this does, but there it is. You know what a crank is, right? You don't know what the rest of it does. From all the way across the level, you hear the telltale ding, right? Which informs you that someone has entered the level. As for Maiev, I'm sorry. She's alone. She's scared. She is completely isolated in one of the lowest levels of dungeon. She has no idea what to expect, and she just creeps forward as carefully as she can. You hear the shaky breaths. You hear the shaky breaths like echoing from off the walls, and there's this terrible stillness to this floor. There's almost nothing. It's so barren. It's hard to see the end because of the rocks and random growth, like bony growths that come out of the ceiling, and every once in a while there's a cricket. And after what feels like a long, agonizing minutes of walking through this level, the folks looking in the scrying glass can see that it kind of looks like she's starting to lower her guard a little bit. Maybe she feels like there's nothing on this level. Maybe this is just completely empty. Sadly for her, that's not the truth. So as she takes one step out into the open, past the rocks, she is able to glance just for a second this mounted mechanical thing.
Oh, really quick. Chat reminded me, Pluck is actually on this floor going...
Do you want to be?
He agreed to it.
All right. So she sees 2 things. the weird dripping noises she heard earlier. It's just you in the corner.
When she sees me, I'm just like...
That distracts her. Unfortunately, just long enough.
Do I have to kill her? I feel so bad for this chick.
Do it.
Do it. Well,
I'm just saying.
You can. I guess you can choose not to turn the crank.
I mean, if I turn the crank, she's gonna die, right?
Well, you have no idea. You don't know what this thing does.
I roll pretty high. She's gonna die. That's how it works.
You're not even a little curious what the crank does?
I mean, Tala is curious. Amanda knows exactly what it does.
Yeah, exactly. You don't think Tala will give it just even one little crank?
She might.
All right. Okay.
Player versus character.
In which case, Maeve is distracted by Pluck making the drippy noises, and she only utters the word "what" before Tala is like, "Wonder what this does." a shattering, this eardrum shattering shot rings out through the entire cavernous space as a high caliber round rips right through the center of her torso, right through the sternum, cleanly out the other side. Maeve, everyone's sort of shocked because no one knew what this thing did except for Wurblin, right? So even you're like, what the? Right, and you're like, whoa, like, it sounds like someone fired a cannon. Maeve looks down, sees a growing pool of blood just kind of seeping out of the center of her torso, and her shaking hands just sort of go to cover it. She has enough wherewithal to know that she's been direly injured, and she looks up to see that you two are even in kind of shock at what's happened. So,
After you have, Plus just kind of like,
I still have my flower crown on, just so it's clear.
right. Do you continue to turn the crank?
No.
So you're like, oh,
sorry,
God,
sorry.
that's-
Everybody okay? No. Oh.
So instead, you just sort of stand there and watch her she falls to her knees and tries to crawl away, but obviously she has been mortally wounded, and she only makes it a few feet before she passes out from the blood loss and just bleeds out on the floor in front of you.
Oops.
so... I think I'll be putting in my 2 weeks here pretty soon.
That's fair.
Even Dwight sitting at the scry mirror going like, holy shit. We should make more of those.
I look at Dwight and I'm like,
Can I eat that?
No.
But why not?
Oh, you mean the bard?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you make it up in time.
Before she decays.
Right. So as you guys are like kind of like puzzling over this weapon of mass destruction that Wurblin just sort of had the idea for.
Does Tala know that Warbland made this?
Yes, you do.
Fucking Warbling.
That actually makes Tala a little sick to her stomach.
Oh.
She starts to reconsider things.
Oh no.
That little man is a maniac.
Trouble in paradise. Yeah, you actually get to the scrying mirror in time to see that happen.
It's like, what I miss?
Dwight's like, wait, let me rewind this for you. Look at this thing. He rewinds it back just to the point where Tala cranks it once. And the shattering sound that rings out, and the giant flare of fire from the muzzle, and it just drops her in a second.
Come back, it's just like,
Yeah, Wurblin put that together, right? Crazy.
yes, he is.
Good thing he's on our side sometimes. No.
Korth, as you guys are just like shocked over the revelation of the firepower of this machine.
Oh, I've made my way back to the screening
So
room.
you're just
I don't
like,
want to be
nope.
around this.
Korth skitters into view and just begins feasting on the fallen remains of Maeve. The taste will quickly sour just about a minute into this because she begins to reanimate. Not.
Oh, I thought it was the
in your-
fact that she was like 70% gunpowder at this point.
Probably that too. She wasn't like peppered with them. She was shot once. So yeah, that was the first run of Dungeon, guys.
Nice. I got a minion out of it.
You got a minion. You got a vampire.
Yeah.
You got a couple of zombies.
I got sad.
You got sad.
Eternal guilt.
You fired the world's first minigun once.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So yeah, unfortunately, none of the player characters was able to make it all the way to the end of Dungeons. But again, thank you guys so much. Really quickly, I want to thank you guys one more time. Hogwarts Boy 111, Nuke Drac, Haruka Senin, Kojiro Uchiha 91, Dureg Durandal, and Crystal Fear. Thank you so much for submitting your characters. I hope that was a lot of fun for you guys to watch, as it was for us to play through. Apologies for the dead characters, but they're not really yours anyway, because, you know, it's
Because we killed them.
alternate.
They're ours now.
There are corpses.
But look forward to seeing Arachnia and Marcello as guest NPCs, as our minions from now on.
So what shape is Marcello in here? You know, what
shape?
Yeah, like what, you know, how...
Literally split in half,
Like
right?
kind of a flower.
Oh,
That way.
like
Oh,
string
my
cheese.
bad. I got
you
that
see like the
incorrect.
spine kind of going up, one side sort of still attached, the other's just kind of folded over.
Oh.
You know, the head's on this side. He still has control of his limbs, but it's like down here.
Just a little like turtle accordion.
Oh.
Cool.
So that's yours now. Congratulations.
Great, that's
Make
awesome.
some cool fan art.
Write the name down, Marcello.
I did.
Done and
It is on this Google Doc.
And Arachnia, your new the first vampire, really, in Dungeons. As you guys all gather back in the viewing room, you notice that your undead horde, your minions, have started collecting bits and pieces of the adventurer's loot. Because I don't know if you know or not, but if you beat the adventurers, you get some of their items.
Oh.
That's right. There are 2 pieces of loot that you will be getting from this fight. Please don't be the ice staff. Please don't be the ice staff. Okay. Unfortunately, it's not the ice staff. But you receive a pair, not just one, but 2 +1 daggers. These are magic daggers. They're worth a lot of money. Magic overcomes all that good, resistance stuff. It's 1d4 damage +1 due to the magicness. And the other item is a named longsword. The daggers, by the way, came from Arachnia. And this piece of loot comes from Kane Carden. This is a magic longsword called the Dawnbreaker. This magic sword is a... Here we go. The information is not... it's a +1 longsword. Damage 1d8 or 1d10 because it has versatile. And it glows slightly, just as an effect. Right? So you can use it as a light source. But otherwise, it is a +1 magic longsword.
Cool.
Yes. And you all receive around 158 gold.
I'm going to mark that down this time. Instead of not.
We all get 100?
yeah, we get money.
158.
Total. Not total, I'm sorry. Per person.
158 per person?
Per person.
Ooh. Robbed them blind.
Yeah.
Wherever you want.
We should keep doing this.
Maybe it's
Just grind more and more.
Yeah.
Just get free loot every time.
man. I'd put it there.
Maybe some XP,
That's right. Oh, you'll get XP for this, don't worry.
Oh heck.
So yeah, after sifting through the treasure and sorting out what's from the good from the not so good, Ironhoof walks up to you, Kovacs. He nods at you because you're a fellow Ironhoof and he has great respect for your legend. So he gives you a kind of this thing. But Kovacs, wow, that's a lot of stuff from Dead Adventurers. I've got to tell you something about your sword.
Sure, go on.
It turns out that the Screaming Face Forge, not so great with melting adamantite, Dwight. And Dwight's like, a rock is a rock. What do you want from me? Yeah, okay, look, the only other forge I can use that's not destroyed. Will you help me reclaim one from the Labyrinth City? It's the only way I can fix your sword.
Yes, but. So I want to show him the Dawnbreaker.
Ooh.
And be like, can we forge this into this? I motion to my sword.
Just the pieces of it, right?
Yeah.
It was like, takes the Dawnbreaker. I guess I could sort of.
If it's not possible, I'm no blacksmith.
Possible, but to smelt magic weaponry like this, it would be easier to have that forge.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I'll get you that forge. That forge is yours.
If you get me that forge, then I can absolutely.
Where is it? Show me it. Where is it?
Dwight is reading like his book, and he has glasses on, and he just kind of shouts over his shoulder, "You have to go to Iron Rock. It's south, below the Blacksteel Isles. Well, not below, south. South of the Blacksteel Isles. You can't miss it. Big lump of black rock, carved into a square, or whatever you people would."
So I'll just grab the Dawnbreaker and I'll be back.
Are you talking about where Tala's from?
Yeah.
Like she'd recognize that?
You actually know exactly where it's from because you've actually the Labyrinth City was carved out in your folks' day, right? You're the original builders of the Labyrinth City of Iron Rock, and Minotaurs remember each place they've ever been down to the minutest detail. So even though you haven't set eyes upon this place in hundreds upon hundreds of years, you can, like, from the back of your hand, you could, like, draw a map through every bit and crevice of the city.
So where he needs to go, I know well?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Ironhoof himself has never set foot in the city, so he can't be a guide. But you can, if you choose to go get this forge.
So is he asking us to make it available where it is, or are we like trying to bring it back?
I'm not sure how they've got their forges set up, as I've never visited the city. But either you talk them into allowing us to use it, or procure one somehow from the city proper.
It might be easier if we brought you
I was just going to ask that.
than to steal their stuff.
Oh, I can absolutely come with you. I just don't know the way. I've never been there.
Well, let's do it. I know the way.
You know the way.
Just clarify.
You've set foot in the Labyrinth City of Iron Rock?
Oh yes, this was many moons ago, long time ago.
Many moons ago.
many long times ago.
Oh, I've always dreamed of setting foot inside the place.
All right, enough talk. New sword. Let's go. New sword.
Very amped about this new sword.
I point the glowing Dawnbreaker. This way.
It does.
Like, well, actually, I don't know which way. Which way?
Yes, you're pointing it the right way.
That way.
Like, Sarah, like walking out and Plug's still kind of in the room alone. He's like, yeah, sure, I guess I could go too. Just like kind of sadly scuttle along the back. I guess this is what we're doing.
And Korth, while you're just hanging out, Dwight tells you, it's like, oh, by the way, Minotaur meat is fantastic.
I'll go too.
Take her too, she'll be useful.
Yes.
Oh, everyone's coming. Fantastic.
So as you step outside, you take your employees' exit outside your dungeon. Dwight, you make your way towards the beachfront, where as the Death Star ends and the beachfront begins, you notice a somewhat you're used to at this point, really, a grotesque-looking ship made out of the same stuff all of Dwight's stuff is made out of.
A ship?
Ship. And not a big ship. Just a kind of, it's more like a yacht.
Made out of bones,
Made of bones, yes.
but it doesn't sink.
No. A bloody, bony, grisly yacht.
Ah, good.
It's probably cheaper than a normal yacht, I'd imagine.
Probably, yeah, since he can just sort of poop it out.
It's good power.
It's mostly what he's done so far is poop out things for you to use.
We're gonna get on that boat, aren't we?
I have some questions about that.
Can I fit on the boat?
Yeah, you can fit on the boat.
Pluck, if at any moment you feel uncomfortable.
Always uncomfortable.
Well, then let's go.
That's my secret.
You guys step foot and hoof on the bony yacht, and with a creaking groan, you notice down at the front of the yacht itself, a big screaming face. Like Dwight loves screaming faces, and one is just plastered.
It's his aesthetic.
Yeah, it's his aesthetic, right? And one is plastered on the front of this boat, and as it takes off from the shore, you just hear it go.
Yep.
Very inconspicuous.
Porth just rolls her eyes.
Yeah, that's on.
Wait, I have a question. Did Ironhoof bring the pieces of my sword?
Oh yeah,
Cool.
yeah. He's brought his work with him.
Be good.
As you're sailing along the mist-filled ocean, just every once in a while you just hear, "Ah!" Not often, but like every 15 minutes.
Is there a way to shut that off?
Do I feel like I could control undead the ship?
You could try.
So I'm going to try, and I want to tell it to shut up.
You just sort of hear, "Ah!"
Oh, God, dude.
So it works
Great.
for a day.
It's enough.
Yeah, for the rest of the day it will be quiet.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so the not screaming yacht continues its voyage for not even an hour. I want to say a good 40 minutes. You passed this another island structure just immediately south of the Blacksteel Isles. You've seen on some maps that this area is called the Wayward Spine. You've heard of it only because Werblin has gone there one time off camera on a sort of diplomacy mission with Filbert to trade your old famished whistle. So lizard folk live there. On the Wayward Spine, lots of jagged mountains, lots of trees, fairly barren kind of soil. Doesn't look like a very pleasant place to live, but you pass that, and then just minutes later, you come to a very not jagged but solid, massive black outcropping of rock. It's its own little mini city island, right? And as you look around it, as you look, just kind of take in the structure, you notice that there are some pointed spaces carved into the rock itself. It seems like it houses something much larger on the inside. And of course, as the bone yacht kind of sails around it, you notice that the blackened rock kind of gives way to two massive adamantite gates, shut just almost a story tall each, just set in the side of this black stone. On the outside, two visible black furred minotaurs stand guard, each with a halberd. They don't see you yet because you're still sort of hidden in the mist. So you guys have a second to plan what you guys want to do. The yacht sort of comes to a slow crawl in the water and plants you in the mist just outside of view of the island.
I mean, do we need to attack? Can't we just have our blacksmith come in and say that he needs to use the forge? Minotaur are very noble people.
Yeah, Minotaur are usually very noble people. Those are not Iron Hoofs. Those are a clan called the Ravenous. They're the ones who sort of usurped our city after our people were wiped out. They're cannibals.
Oh. Well, that's not right.
Would they perhaps sympathize with the fact that the Allhavens drove the Minotaurs out?
They trade with the Allhavens. Where do you think they get their adamantite weaponry?
All right, so new angle.
I mean, I speak Minotaur, but it sounds like they're terrible people.
They're fairly terrible, yes.
Okay.
But then again, and stop me if I'm overstepping, but you're all fairly terrible people. No, in a nice way.
I didn't mean to
terrible.
kill that little person.
Ooh, that was awful.
That was very.
That was
That was violent.
Oh,
And you ate a guy, and it just felt worse.
somehow worse than the rest of what happened. Yeah.
It's like, I just was swimming. I didn't do nothing.
Oh, you made that vampire.
I didn't make her.
You-
She made herself. I'm proud of her.
You distracted someone long enough for you to make that vampire.
Teach a vampire.
This was smart. Very good.
Yeah.
Nope.
Good job.
Nope.
Super villains.
Great job.
Nope. Being miscredited right now. Absolutely not.
It's fine. She can be my vampire.
Just take her. You do what you want.
Oh, by the way, Marcelo is with you.
Oh!
He's been here the entire time.
Like, I know they're bound to notice her and I, but like, they are really bound to notice.
I guess, is that a motivation? Like a factor? Like,
I'll
could I
just
just
throw
like
him in.
intimidate him? Like, just walk up to them and be like, hey, I speak your language, but I'm also bigger than you and undead, so move along.
It's true. Actually, Tala, roll history real quick.
Nope. 11.
You've been probably reading up a little bit about your legends after you passed.
Just a little bit. It doesn't interest me that much.
You picked some up here and there, right? Even though they are of a different clan, your legend is widespread enough where there is a possibility they do know you.
Would they respect me?
You don't know.
Yeah.
You know Minotaurs respect strength. That's like their whole shebang. Every Minotaur city has an arena.
But I got murdered by Dwight. That's not very strong.
And to be fair, Dwight murdered a lot of people.
That doesn't make me feel any better. That makes me feel less special. I mean, I'll try to talk to them. Should I talk to them?
Can I ride on your back?
I mean, do you object to this thing on my back?
Gorth.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you.
What these things do is none of my concern. Ironhoof,
Yes.
do you feel like these Minotaurs could be reasoned with?
Well, they do trade with Allhaven, so obviously they can be reasoned with. I don't know how much they'll like seeing another Ironhoof step foot in their city.
Is there anything we could offer up to them, such as your services?
Excuse me.
If you don't want to go that route, I wouldn't hold it against you.
It's not my first choice. Let's see if we can come up with another plan before that one, if that's all right.
We could always kill them all.
Yeah, kill and eat.
That would be the simplest way, of course, yes.
There's been enough
I like this plan a lot.
wanton bloodshed today, I think.
Hey,
Good boy.
you were the one who shot.
I did it! I didn't know what it did!
All right, so
We just tell them we want to use their forge and
And if they say
ask
no,
what their terms are, and if they say no, then we kill them.
Okay, that sounds fair.
Pluck, thoughts?
Does it matter what I think about this?
Of course it does. You're a dear friend to me. Pluck.
What if I said I don't like this plan and I'm not killing anyone?
Well, I don't know why you came.
It was either this or I sit alone in that screening room staring at all those corpses.
Okay, new plan. If they don't cooperate, we get them to attack us first, and then Pluck helps us.
It's self-defense that way.
Self-defense. Self-defense.
it works out every time.
I like preemptively cast Pass Without Trace.
You're like,
Just like,
you're far enough, by the way, outside the Blacksteel Isles that casting magic now without a bracelet will be fine.
Oh.
now, do specific bracelets still have their abilities?
Yes,
Fantastic.
they do. They do
Cool.
indeed.
Good to know.
So you want to try diplomacy first?
Diplomacy first, I guess.
Do you think, should I do it or should you do it? We both speak Minotaur, but you're less,
Who's the least offensive
giant like abomination. I don't know.
Racism or just you're dead and
Well,
gross?
there is one
I'm
advantage
allowed.
Tala has. She is a legendary folk hero among the Minotaurs. There is a possibility that they'll be wowed by her legend.
And the undeadness thing adds an air of like authority or intimidation.
You're going to have them You're going to have to give them a good reason to break off trade with Allhaven to allow you, Allhaven's enemies, to use their forge.
They don't have to break off trade with
Yeah, just
Allhaven.
let
They
us
don't
use
have
it.
to know who we are.
Oh, you're just not going to tell them. You're just going to try to convince them to use the forge.
We're just
Like, our forge is broken.
Business
we
people.
Pop out and use yours. Can
All
we?
right, I'm down.
Do you have a cup of forge? Neighbor.
It's a cup of forge.
Or like a spare Dawnbreaker we could loan.
All right, so that's the way you guys want to go about it first?
sure.
Okay. So the bone yacht, as if sensing your decision, begins to slowly make its way out of the mist. And, this terrifying image of this screaming face, except not screaming.
It's scarier.
Yeah, like... out of the mist, and you see the two ravenous clan guards immediately spotted and ready their great did I say halberds or axes?
Halberds.
Halberds. They're great halberds, and they start to hoof down to the beachfront. And as soon as you dock with their it's an okay kind of dock, but the Minotaurs aren't really known for their seafaring ability, so it's kind of a shanty dock, made only for trade. And the boat settles there, and before you can even exit your boat, these two ravenous clan Minotaurs are at the bottom of the ramp with their weapons pointed at you. And they speak this kind of okay common, you can understand. There's like, who goes there? Who are you?
Oh, so I don't speak Minotaur to them?
You can. They're just choosing to use common because they see that only one or two of you are Minotaurs.
I step forth and I say, "'Tis I, Tala, the executioner." Except I don't stutter it.
As these large things are talking, can little bird boy kind of sneak behind and try and just stealth my way out?
Roll stealth.
Okay. I have that pass without trace.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is wait. All right, 17.
17? Okay. Yeah, that's gonna be enough. As they're busy kind of figuring out what the situation is, and while in their confusion, you sort of magically slip right between them and kind of make it out to the other side.
It's almost like excuse me, sorry. Don't mind me.
You guys notice Pluck leave. Well, you really just sort of notice that he's no longer there. Right. Pluck, as they're handling the situation, what would you like to do?
I want to find somewhere just nearby to hide, just in case I need to do some long distance healing.
Oh, great. In that case, there is a small camp outside of the gates proper. There's a fireplace. They're roasting what appears to be, various poultry. Unfortunately, on the roast. Not your folks. Chickens, ducks, geese, all that stuff.
I was more thinking maybe a barrel or something nearby.
There's an outhouse.
Oh.
All right.
All right. So you're like, this smells terrible, but large cover.
I mean, I'm a trash bird, so I'm just like, oh, it's home.
Yeah, it doesn't bother you too bad. So you just sort of nestle in behind the outhouse, right next to the moon. Every outhouse has a moon.
Yep.
I don't know why. That's just the rule.
Psalm.
And it's extra big. It has to be because
No, of course, it's huge.
It's
a huge
accommodating.
outhouse. A lot of
Minotaurs.
Minotaurs.
Minotaur outhouse.
Whose job is it to empty that?
The lowest caste Minotaur warriors.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
The ones who have yet to prove themselves in the arena. You don't want to be those folks. It sucks. Anyway, so that all happens. Tala, you say what you say, but I'll ask you to roll intimidation with advantage.
15. So an advantage is there's 2 rolls.
Yeah, 2 rolls and you pick the highest.
17.
Hey! And plus your intimidation score, what is that?
+1.
Okay, 18. You don't know if they believe that you're Tala, but they are scared pissless that a giant freaking abomination of a minotaur with bull legs and body just sort of confronted them. What they do notice, beyond your name, beyond your visage, is your axe. Brenda.
Brenda.
And you just... Brenda. And that's, you hear them whisper. You're like, Brenda. And out of the corner, you can see past them, off to the left side, across from the campfire. And you remember this because this was built in your honor back in your day. A massive adamantite statue of you riding your very impressive, still with its head steed, lie outside of the gate to the left, and it does not look desecrated. It looks good as new. And in your hand on that statue is Brenda. And that's where we'll call it. For this session.
I wish Warbland was here to see how cool I am. God.
Oh man, Warbland, who invented a weapon of mass destruction.
Invented the Gatling gun.
I know, right?
Oops.
Go figure. Well, thanks for watching, Dark and Dicey, guys. That was a lot of fun. And now, do you guys know if next week Anna and Zach will be back, or they're still sort of gone?
As far as I know,
We'll find out.
Yeah,
we'll find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
But I want to thank you guys, the guests, for coming on. It's always so much fun to have you guys. And also, one more time, thank you so much for the fans who have submitted your characters for Dungeons. And I do have a quick announcement about Dungeons. As we go forward in future episodes, we may set aside 30 minutes every episode or every other episode to have a quick dungeon grind. Right? So at the end of maybe every other episode, we'll have a new group of adventurers ready to challenge dungeons. So don't worry if your characters weren't picked this time. I will randomly pick more characters out of the hat every time we do one of these. It's going to be a lot of fun. Other than that, are there any announcements you guys want to make before we log off for the day?
Boruto, Naruto Next Generations, is coming to Toonami on Saturday. So I think it premieres 10:30 on Cartoon Network /Toonami.
You can continue to have that awkward relationship with your deadbeat dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really exciting. Cool.
Thanks. Yeah.
Usual for me, next month, going on the Paid and Exposure Tour, Part 2, with our buddies Stages and Stereos. They're a really cool rock band from Florida. So we're hitting the East Coast, so if you want tickets, go to NateWantsToBattle.com, and we will see you out there.
Sweet. For me, since it is 9 o'clock and is midnight on the East Coast, Valkyria Chronicles 4 has been released, and you can hear me as Odin inside that game as one of your teammates.
Nice.
So don't get me killed. I love you. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.